So the truth is, who we are when we first enter a relationship is definitely not who we're going to stay. When you get into a relationship, there's all this euphoria, there's this excitement, you fall in love, you are infatuated by one another, and eventually you land into yourself, you get comfortable. What I'm speaking to specifically is if we go back to the last video I shared, we talk about how the love we need changes as we change, as we grow, and as we shift. I'm going to give you a little bit of my personal experience today in what happened in my previous relationship. So when I got into my relationship, I was unwell. I was dealing with a lot of mental health challenges. Life had taken its toll. And so how I showed up in that relationship was very vulnerable, very needy, and that of course impacted the relationship. And I think what's really important to know is when we enter a relationship, both parties, we have a series of construct. We were raised a certain way, so we come into the relationship from two different worlds. How were you raised? What were you taught? And we often spend a lot of our life unlearning the things that we were taught and then landing in our becoming. So keeping in mind that I had been unwell, moving through a lot of mental health challenges, I am meeting my partner in this space. So growing up, my parents kind of liked it when I was unwell. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, they felt needed as parents. And so they would coddle me, and leaving me coddled, I kind of became a victim. I stayed in that space. It's like I couldn't get better. So when I met my partner, he was like, we're out of here. We moved out, and his love was very compassionate in the beginning. It was really compassionate. But over time, as he saw how unwell I was and the way I kind of victimized myself, his love turned to tough love. And that also goes to the way he was raised and the way he was brought up. He didn't really talk about his emotions. He was never told to express himself. So his love and having that tough love came very easy to him. It was kind of like pick yourself up, dust your shoulders off, and move on. So in turn, there was a reflection there for me. So if I was crying, it was kind of like, are you crying again? And over time, that tough love is actually what I needed because it taught me how to take care of myself. It taught me how to love myself and how to pick myself up and dust myself off and move on. And that again came from his upbringing. So you could see how we talk here. There's two different upbringings, two different realities, two different lives. Me being coddled and then him being like, hey girl, like get up. And so it's really beautiful because eventually I learned how to do that. And here I am, much healthier today, knowing how to pick myself up. And I look at how my relationship didn't work out, and it's like, if I didn't learn these things from my partner, I think I'd be a really big mess today, you guys. So the difference is, and why I talk about the love we need, how it shifts and changes, in a relationship, we start to develop a dynamic. So in mine, it was, you pick yourself up, and mine was like, okay. And we create this dynamic internally, and this is just how we start to live. And often in a partnership, we don't know how to change that dynamic, and that can be really challenging because when we fall into these roles, this is who we are. So as we grow and as we change, sometimes we don't notice or we don't know how to shift the partnership. So in my case, as I healed, as I got better, as the love I needed began to shift and change, and there should be no shame. I want to say that, and I want to preface that. There should be no shame if the love you need changes. As that change started to happen, my partner started to notice that I was acting different. He didn't know exactly what it was, but I was showing up differently. And I myself, being in that shift, in that change, in that growth journey, I didn't notice at all that that this was happening. All I knew is I felt like a bit of a disconnect in my relationship, and I was pulling for something more. And what was happening is that love that I needed began to change. What I want you to know is you should not teach someone how to love you. They should just love you. If you're constantly trying to manipulate someone into loving you in the way that you need, there is a problem. However, that doesn't mean that you can't work on your relationship and grow together. There's a very big difference in these two ideas. So the love I needed, instead of it being tough love, because I had learned to become so tough on myself, Sabrina, pick yourself up. Like that mindset was always there. I wanted my partner to be more supportive, more like, you got this, more caring. And again, like, how did he know how to be that way if that was not the dynamics? So the shift began to happen, and this started to cause a bit of conflict within the relationship. And so what I want to bring forward to you today is, how do you know? How can you catch if the love you need is shifting and changing? Because like I said, when I was in it, I didn't recognize it. I didn't realize it. So that this might be your case. This would be a really great opportunity to tell you, I have OCD. I was diagnosed with OCD. And when I say diagnosed, guys, I say diagnosed. There's a place in the world for diagnosis. However, I have OCD. And what that looks like today is I can live a full, whole, complete life. And that's 15 years in the making. And I share this with you because you might wonder what I'm talking about when it comes to like the mental health challenges that I was moving through with my partner. It was the discovery that this was a challenge that I had to face and overcome. So I have some ideas, some tips that I'm going to provide to you from my notebook, because I don't want to forget any. If you are moving through this, if you think the love that you are going through is shifting and changing and you don't really know, but something feels a little bit off, I'm going to provide these to you and they might help you out in your relationship. Tip number 1, emotionally disconnected. You are feeling a little disconnected from your partner. You are searching for something more. It doesn't feel right. You're like, hey, let's go on some dates. Hey, can we do something a little bit different? I'm not feeling as emotionally connected to you as I had been previously. Your priorities start to shift. Your values are different. Your goals are different. The things you're looking for within your relationship and personally just aren't the same anymore. You might feel a bit of unhappiness despite working on your relationship. This unhappiness doesn't get fulfilled. Something inside just doesn't feel right. You're not feeling completely happy in the relationship, no matter what you say or do. The support you need changes, and I mentioned that you might notice, like, why isn't my partner supporting me the way they once did? And now there's like a bit of resentment coming up, and it might feel like you're judging your partner. You're feeling like, why aren't they showing up for you? And they're like, but I've always shown up for you this way. So that's something to pay attention to. You're going through growth. You're going through a season of change. And within that growth, within that change, you're just desiring different things in life. So your interests might start to shift. What you want to do might start to change. And you're not feeling fulfilled in the ways that you once did. And that's really important. And I know that when I wasn't feeling fulfilled in the ways I once did, there was a little bit of guilt and shame there. So remove that guilt and shame and recognize this as something that maybe you need to look a little bit deeper into. You are craving alone time. You are craving alone time. Instead of being with your partner, you want to be with yourself. You want to do the things that you like to do. Another one would be that intimacy. There's like a little bit of a drawback with your intimacy. Perhaps the type of intimacy you're looking for is different as well. And this is really big, you guys. There's an intuitive feeling. There's just this inner knowing that something in your relationship is off. If there's something off and you feel it within, to tap into that and ask yourself questions. And the last one is that maybe you start to develop interest in other people. This could be romantically or even just with friendships. I want to be around these people because I feel supported here. I want to be around these people because I could be my authentic self. So you're receiving love externally versus internally within your relationship. So basically, at the end of the day, we all change. We have the ability to grow together within our partnership, and it's just important for you to recognize, this change is happening. Can I articulate this to my partner? Can I work on this? And knowing that what you need is important.